Hello, Pablo. How are you?
You can't. Yeah,
It's
you
good to be
can't.
here. Good to be here. Good to be seen. Hello, everybody.
I'm
I'm in
so.
boiling hot Los Angeles.
I wish I was in boiling hot Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's pretty rough right now, but that's nice. I can't complain. Look at that view.
That's a beautiful view, and you have air conditioning. You crazy Americans, like we don't have
I
that.
do. I finally have. I'm finally living in a house that has a very nice, quiet AC professional thing that you don't even hear when it's on. I came from a house that had the little window ones with the boarded up, with that are just sound like a turbine engine. So this is a very nice thing that happened.
When I stayed at a friend's in Burbank, they lived directly underneath the flight path of was it Bob Hope Airport?
Yeah, Burbank Airport. Yeah, that's a bit rough.
Oh my God! Like every 30 minutes, it was just like the first time it happened, I thought it was an earthquake, and
Right.
No wonder they can just play full bands in the garden and stuff like that, because who cares? There's a plane flying over you.
Exactly. Yeah, those places are going to be a lot cheaper under the flight paths, which is cool. Which is cool because you can get a place that would be a lot more expensive, a little bit further away for the same much cheaper. But yeah, that's a pretty serious hassle to have a 747 flying over you every 30 minutes, and they start early too, right?
They do start early and they end late as well. So but it's a good shot to have for a music video or something like that.
True. It's a one-trick pony. Oh wait, we got the jet. Now what? Oh, there's another one in case you missed it.
I guess it would become like white noise eventually, but it was just crazy. Everyone had to just stop the conversations, and it was just
Yeah, that's funny.
So with it, that was one thing I didn't realize in America. Does everyone have the sort of the mesh over the windows to stop mosquitoes and bugs? Is that just everyone, or is it
that?
No, it was like just almost looked like fishnet, but like really sort of
a screen,
like a screen. Yeah.
A window screen.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, like I don't have one here for my front door, and what I normally do every night is blast records right there.
Oh.
And sit here and have a margarita. That's been my COVID. That's been my COVID behavior. But yeah, I guess There's just we got like a lot of mosquitoes here. Like I'm totally torn up from mosquitoes.
Oh.
So and I even have like little mosquito repellents, and they're just everywhere here. So what's
the craziest animal you've had in your backyard?
Oh, in this yard, this house is like National Geographic. It's I'll see pretty much nightly. I will be on the phone or listening to a record and or texting somebody, and something will catch my eye, and it's it's any number, any range, size range of possums. So there's the big mama and daddy. And then there's the little tiny baby ones that look like just about the size of a rat, but it's a possum. And they will just cruise right by there. And they're adorable. I love them. And then there's squirrels everywhere in these trees and in my backyard. And then the cutest thing I've seen was 2 baby skunks.
Wow. Okay.
At first I thought they were mating. And then I was like, no, they're playing. And because they were too little, they were like babies. And one of them is like foraging in my backyard, like kind of looking for stuff in the lawn. And then the other one, it was like a cartoon. The other one would would sit there, and then it would like kind of gather up some steam, and then it would crash into the back of the other one and knock it over. And then it looks back and it's like, what are you doing? And then it keeps foraging. And then it's like, it does it again. It's like, and then crashes into it. And I have it on video. It's like probably it would be an award-winning Instagram animal video. But
get that on TikTok immediately.
Yeah, these are my priorities.
So you don't even need a TV with that. Are you much of a TV person, or?
I became more of a TV person in during this stay-home shit where I was and I was alone.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching. I started binging TV shows that I never would normally watch. I've watched 5 seasons of a show in 2 days.
Yeah, Yeah, and do you find it hard? I mean, how was the salad? Do you find it hard to keep off the COVID weight? Because I just ballooned over the past year, so you've done very well.
For me, I think it's from margaritas, to be honest with you, because it's a lot. That's a lot of tequila, and I don't use any kind of like gross sugary thing. I just use limes and lemons, and a tiny bit of agave syrup. But still, it's like I never drank like every day. I mean, I can drink a lot when I choose to drink. Like I'm usually the last man standing, but it certainly wasn't ever like a daily thing, nor did I ever really drink at home. So that's kind of the new thing that happened with COVID. Is just like, I mean, I'm lucky I have a recording studio in my house where I make my records and other people's records. And so I wasn't like stranded without being able to work or without feeling like I'm productive during this. I was actually like loving it, because it was like, oh, I have nothing on the horizon. There's no touring. There's no recording dates. There's nothing. It's just me. And that was fantastic for me. And it's the first time I've had that really in years. But the point being, I would record a song, get it real close, and then it's like, I have something pretty substantial to celebrate. So let's have a margarita. And then it's basically turned into like almost every day. So yeah, I think I've put on like maybe 10 pounds, which for me is noticeable because I'm normally 145 pounds.
Right. Okay. So what's the most drunk you've ever been on stage?
Oh my God. It was actually, you know what? I do remember it. It was with Air.
Okay.
And the problem was this: we were in a festival and somewhere in Europe, and I ran into Grohl, and because he was playing drums with the Queens of the Stone Age, and Mark Lanegan from the Screaming Trees was singing with the Queens, and Mark Lanegan was like, I was talking to Dave, and then Mark Lanegan is like, he's like, "Is your name? Are you Jason Falkner?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." And it's like, I like your records. And I was like, "Oh, sweet." So then I went up to their backstage. This is like hours before we were going to play. And I went up to their backstage and ended up drinking so much with the bass player, Nick, talking about punk rock. And I probably had like 10 beers when we still had like 2 hours before we played. And I just was like, oh my God. And then me and Josh from the Queens went to go see Cornelius. We took a little cart, went to go see Cornelius. And I was like partying way too much before show. And I never do that, because I mean, I drink a little bit before the show, but I remember walking on stage that night and I was like, I am not buzzed, I'm drunk. And like, then this might be a little bit like, I'm going to have to really like focus. Normally it's just like secondhand, second nature. I don't even have to think about what I'm doing on stage. This, I was like, okay, that's the neck. Those are the 4 strings. And I play sometimes 2 or 3, but usually 1 at a time. And I'm really going to have to pay attention. That's kind of scary, actually.
And Air doesn't strike me as the type of group that you can really improvise with the songs too much live on stage.
I actually improvised quite a bit, but no, I mean, generally speaking,
generally, right, okay.
They encouraged it, but you don't want to miss chord changes, that's for sure. And I didn't do that. I didn't mess up the show or anything. I just remember I was like, oh boy, I gotta like rein this in. I gotta drink the water that's on my amp instead of the beer. Yeah, no, that band was there were some very funny things that happened in that band where I realized I could do no wrong. And the most important one, or at least it felt like I could do no wrong, the most important one was at the Olympia in Paris. And there's a section of the song where I do this kind of maniacal bass solo with a electro-harmonics micro synth. So it's like that kind of sound like a ring modulator. And I was so in the moment. I just pulled the bass up to my teeth and played it like Jimi Hendrix with my teeth, but it's a bass, right? And And I remember as I had the bass on my face, I was like, this is too far. I've gone too far. Oh shit. Like, this is too much. This is not appropriate for air at all. Like, what the hell am I doing? And I pulled the bass down and looked over at Nico, who's the orange-haired guy in air. And I was thinking he was going to kind of be like, okay, you know. And I looked over and he's looking right at me playing the acoustic guitar, wild-eyed with his mouth open. And he goes, I could read his lips. He goes, that's so cool. And I was like, okay, now I can really do no wrong in this band. Like, if I can play the bass with my teeth in air, I mean, come on. It's like a refined, sophisticated band, and I'm like taking it to the jungle. So that was kind of funny.
So how does a band like Air find you? Did they contact you and request you, or did they? Because you're kind of like, I'm guessing you're, as well as your incredible solo work, you're one of those, everyone knows who you are and can reach out to you if they need a great guitarist or something like that, or someone to produce an album, or were you like a hero to them, sort of thing?
No. So what happened was that all came through the drummer Brian Reitzel, who was in Red Cross, and then we had our TVIs thing. Yeah. So Brian suggested me that. Now they knew of me because I had done a lot of press for my solo second solo record. I went to Paris for about 2 weeks and played about 5 shows in Paris and did a ton of press. And this was in '99. So this is like right before I joined Air in 2000. So their whole thing was like, they thought I was like really successful over here.
Right.
So they were like, wow, we can't believe that you want to play with us. And I'm like, why? And they're like, well, we thought you were like, they literally said, I remember the quote was, we thought you were like as big as like Lenny Kravitz here. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. But I'm glad you thought that. I mean, that's cool. I guess the French press was very good to me, or very favorable press back then. But yeah, so they knew of me. I don't know if they'd heard the records, but they became, they checked out my stuff once we were all playing together and stuff. And I was only supposed to do that for about 6 months, and it turned into 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, I still haven't seen Lost in Translation, you know.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's really neat to see.
It's got some really funny stuff. I don't know if people know that the karaoke music in that is me and Roger and Brian. It's TVI's.
Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
Because obviously I knew Roger and Brian, created the soundtrack, so I didn't know that you were on there as well. So is it because I haven't seen it, is it a TVI's track that people know, or is it something different? Or?
No. We recorded karaoke versions of Brass in Pockets,
right?
God Save the Queen. It's in the movie when Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson go and do karaoke. The karaoke that they're singing to is us.
That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now
and let me tell you, that was the hardest thing. That I think that was the most challenging thing that I think I've ever done in the studio, is trying to make things that are passionate sound completely robotic and lifeless, which is what karaoke is. Mm-hmm. So it's actually really hard to do, like to play with no emoting, no variation, it's robotic, it's mechanized. And it was actually a really fun challenge. It was fun.
Is it on the soundtrack?
That I don't know.
I need to find that out. Okay, that's cool. So,
but if you watch the film, they do, like, I think the karaoke bar scene is pretty long, so it's like you hear parts of like 3 songs that we did karaoke to.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. Right, well, that's given me more reason to watch it as soon as possible. So what is the most obscure thing that people have recognized you from? Like, are people only familiar with like just one piece of work that you've done that is not a solo album or anything like that? You know, they only know Bedtime with the Beatles, or they only know...
God, what would there are a few obscure things, and every once in a while somebody will comment on something. I mean, probably I was in this like goth band when I was a teenager called Community FK. It was like a kind of a scary LA kind of cross between Killing Joke and Joy Division and Diamond Dogs era Bowie. So it was like this kind of seedy, druggy thing. This before I even knew what drugs were. And that band, every once in a while, somebody will be like, man, I saw you in Community FK. Because check this out. We played at the University of San Diego down here down south in San Diego with the Jesus and Mary Chain in 1985.
Wow.
So
okay.
I was in high school, and and I later, I've played bass on two Primal Scream records, and I'm very good friends with Bobby Gillespie and those guys. And we were recording one of their records here about 10 years ago, 10 years ago. And I had forgotten to tell Bobby that, because Bobby was in Jesus and Mary Chain when they came here. I think it was their first trip here.
Uh-huh.
I think it's their first tour here. It's when the Reed brothers still played with their backs to the audience. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's legendary. And I came barreling into the studio, and I'm like, Bobby, we met ages ago. And I said, do you remember this gig in San Diego? I'm guessing it was your first or second tour of America. And he's like, I remember that gig. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I was in the opening band playing bass. So I think that's one of the rarities that every once in a while somebody will be like, somebody will tell me they were at that show.
That's fun.
And then as far as, I'm always really thrilled when people, comment or reach out to me in lieu of, or as a result of any of the European records that I've produced. I get a lot of people talking about the Ansoldat and Ben Loy records, but it's all European people because those records weren't released in the UK, Japan, or the US.
I know that. I mean, do you, even with that kind of work, do you find that frustrating that it's not available? Because I know that there is a frustration with some of your solo records that they're not as available as they could be.
That's all my fault. I mean, I can't blame anybody else for that. That's because I didn't, get them released everywhere. And it certainly has been frustrating, but I can't point the finger at anybody else for that. It's definitely frustrating with a couple of those records that I mentioned, like Ansoldat or Bent Ben Loy or Tom Hell, because not only do I think they're great records, and I had a really heavy hand in making them, but also because, for instance, the second Bent Ben Loy record had a number one single in Belgium, and they do a poll, like a number one single, and they do a poll at the end of every year, I guess, in Belgium, the most played record on the airwaves, and it was the number one played record in Belgium. That's above Beyonce and the Beatles and the Foo Fighters and whatever. It was the number one, so it's a very successful record, but only in Belgium. It's which is weird because I've noticed touring around, it's so territorial and like regional in Europe. They certainly must have something in place where they play a certain amount of indigenous records. Whereas, of course, we don't have that in America, or certainly not in cities. I mean, they should do that in big cities. Like, this is a band from LA. Let's play them more than, or let's because they do that in Canada. There's a certain percentage that has to be Canadian. And I think it's like 30% or something. It's pretty crazy, but it's how they create stars that are regional.
I've heard that with like TV as well, that there has to be a certain amount of either people on screen or even cameramen, etc. There has to be a percentage of Canadian. Yeah, that's a cool way to kind of keep an economy going. Yeah, and also to support artists of your whatever city,
country, province, whatever. But yeah, so I think that, what I was saying is traveling around, like, so when I did the tours with Ben, we were playing like, 1,000 to 3,000 seat places in Belgium. And then we go to Holland right next door, and it's 20 people because they don't know him.
Yeah.
But like in Belgium, like I can't walk down the street without everybody's gathering around him. He's like the Pied Piper. It's crazy.
That's wonderful. And I bet you miss traveling as well because of COVID. I mean, you're going to be on tour with Beck next year, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm touring. Well, we'll do something next year. I'm not sure what. There's no plans as of yet, but I'm doing some stuff with St. Vincent right now. We're doing some touring in a month.
Ah, cool. Jason, Can you give me 1 second and I'll be back?
Yeah,
I'm going to make an edit. So what was your first TV appearance? Do you remember it?
Probably. I don't think, I'm trying to remember if I did anything on TV with the 3 o'clock, and I don't think I did. Certainly some of that stuff was filmed, but not for TV. I would go ahead and guess the first TV thing was Letterman with Jellyfish.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was probably the first. Yeah.
And that's the one that Chris was not there for.
That's right, because that was back when the Paul Schaefer band had to play with all of the musical guests. I mean, it's crazy to think about now, but like I remember like even a band like REM would be on there. I mean, maybe REM was able to get the 4 guys. Like, come on, guys, we're REM. But I remember all sorts of bands where it's like it's only part of the band, and then the Paul Schaefer band is filling it out. It's like, this is weird. And I remember, when we got word that, first of all, we were going to do the show, we were all very, very excited. But then it was also like, oh, but it's only going to be 3 of you guys. And that's, that was, when we got there, I remember Andy and Roger go, hey, because we met Paul Schaefer and Will and the other guys in the band. And Paul's like, yeah, it's really groovy, man. This is all the Paul Schaefer-isms. And then he's like, he starts saying, hey, can you guys run the background vocals with us? Because they also sang, and none of them are singers. And so Andy and Roger.
Was Chris there that night?
No.
Oh, so it wasn't like a last minute, you can't come on?
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't flown to New York.
Oh, that's
so Andy and Roger bail, and like they're like, well, because I taught Chris so much of how to play and all that stuff. And so I would, if we would have a new song, I would have to teach him that, like backstage, if Andy wanted to do a different song or a cover or something. It happened multiple times where I would then have to disappear somewhere or stay on stage after sound check, and those guys would bail, and I would spend an hour and a half running the song with Chris. So I was kind of used to doing that. So, but this time I'm teaching the Paul Schaefer band how to play and sing the song. And my other favorite memory is while we're playing, a lot of people don't know this, but Dave Letterman stays at his desk, obviously, during the musical performances, and they just black him out. They just turn off the spotlight, but you could still see him. And I remember looking over several times. I think in that video, the footage of us on Letterman, you can see me laughing sometimes, because I look over and I see David Letterman is like this at his desk. He's like this, shaking his head. He's not watching. He was not. He was not enjoying it at all. And I'm like, I will never forget seeing him like this.
Was it too loud for him? I mean, it's an interesting choice to perform an album track on national.
Well, we chose it because we were disintegrating. It was like let's just go out in flames for this record, at least. Like the record, the promotion cycle for that record was over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was just why let's just like drop a bomb.
So because I mean, I Want to Stay Home was released as a single, and Now She Knows She's Wrong was released as a single as part of the Scary Go Round EP. And it's not like they didn't get various formats, 3D glasses, all that kind of thing, but there weren't really any music videos for them, which is unlike Jellyfish to do that? I mean, like you say, had the wheels fallen off with regards to pushing the album by that point as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, the way it works, as we all know, is we made three videos for that, and that's a lot. And back then, the videos were $100,000 each,
right?
At least. And so at a certain point, no matter how much love there is for a band at a label, or no matter how much the actual president of the label is like, these are my guys, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. At some point, he has to like smell the reality of the situation, which is this is just going to be losing money. So it's already amazing that 3 videos were made on an album that sold 150,000 copies, because back then 150,000 copies was a commercial failure, which is crazy to think about now.
But not just that, though. I mean, when I don't know how much the band had a hand in this, or whether they just looked at the nappy pack for the Babies Coming Back CD and all that kind of thing. It's just the money that was spent on packaging for those things, the Jello packs and all that kind of stuff, and the 3D glasses and the pop-ups and the 7-inch singles and all that kind of thing.
There was a lot of addition. I mean, listen, the little ripple on the cover, that little micro fold on the cover of Belly Button. You know how much extra money that costs to do that on the CD and the LP? Like, you know what I mean? That's like a really unnecessary expense, but it's how labels used to show that they were behind a band. Is like if they would make all these, they would spend all this money in places like that, where it's not really, it's cool. It's very cool, but it's not really going to result in anything. It'd be better to spend that money touring, or just really anywhere else, but putting a little bump in the artwork, a little speed bump.
I wish I had all my Jellyfish stuff here, but it's kind of like, I don't know if you realize as well that just the cassettes alone, there are probably about 10 different cassette spines, not because I'm into, if the feeling of the cardboard is slightly different and all that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm the same.
Yeah.
Not with Jellyfish, but with other bands.
No. I mean, I have a Greek copy of Belly Button, which is still sealed, and it has like a
nice
the equivalent of an obi strip, but like a Greek one, and it goes around it. There's some crazy.
Oh, that's cool.
Out there. I wanted to. I found a magazine from 1991 that had a Roger interview from it, and I asked Roger the exact same questions that he was asked in 1991, and he was like, "Yeah, I did not give those answers," because he says that according to the magazine that Chris wrote, King is half undressed, and some of the.
Oh God!
Just like
no.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
So that's what I need to do. I should have found some interviews of you from like 1991.
Yeah,
questions. So I don't. Okay, Wembley, the INXS gig. Now, what is interesting about the interview after that with Andy, before we even talk about the gig, is you played the Norwich Waterfront the next day, and there was a video recorded for Now She Knows She's Wrong. I don't know. Do you remember any of that? It was like
filmed on stage at the club.
Yeah.
I absolutely remember that, because that's the night that that's the night that we learned that was one of the times I was basically just referring to, as far as those guys saying, "Hey, let's learn this song, and then can you teach it to Chris?" And so that song was "Tie Your Mother Down."
Oh wow!
And it was that night, and then there was an explosive argument that same night, right after I taught Chris how to play the song. So I remember that show very well. But yeah, that was weird, because I remember there was like a camera on a track kind of thing, and they let the whole crowd in for the show, but then we mimed.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of explain that to the crowd, and everybody was totally on board, of course, because it's like, we're going to do this, and then we're playing the show. But yeah, I remember that very well. Norwich, I'll never forget
Did you know that Justin Hawkins from The Darkness was in the audience that night?
I did not. But I remember back then I hung out with, I was the only guy that went out in that band, like truly. So I had crazy nights with all sorts of bands, the Wonder Stuff, what was that band? Oh man.
In Spiral Carpets?
No. What's the band that did I'm Free to Do What I Want? The Stones cover.
Oh, good Lord. And the thing. Oh.
What was that band? The Soup Dragons.
Soup Dragons. There you go.
Bands like that I had a blast with all sorts of people back then. That was no, I didn't know that guy was in the audience. That's funny.
I just messaged him one time because I went to his one of his gigs and they had, I think I Want to Stay Home and New Mistake just blaring over the monitor, and so I messaged him that night and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And he's like, yeah, I was at the Waterfront gig. But currently on BBC 4, which is all archive stuff, on every Friday night they're showing Top of the Pops episodes from 1991, and it's reignited my love of They Might Be Giants amongst other bands. I mean, they were on it was Conan O'Brien, I think, and they did Birdhouse in Your Soul, and they had the band as well with the trumpet player and everything, and the arrangement of that was incredible. Probably the best performance of that they've ever done, in my opinion. The In at 39, King is Half Undressed. I knew that episode was coming, so I made sure to capture that. And did you see that when I sent you it, or did you miss that?
No, I haven't seen it. I would love to see that.
I will send you that. Yeah, it's a very short clip because you never did. I guess the single wasn't out long enough to really do Top of the Pops or anything. Were you guys invited, or?
I can't remember. We did. I remember we did The Word.
Yeah, I love The Word.
The Word, and we did.
How many lines of cocaine was snorted backstage when you were there?
Probably a lot. None by us, but I remember that really maybe like a Mank guy.
Oh,
Super Manchester guy.
Terry Christian, yeah, he's very outspoken. He's very left wing leaning these days, and
right,
yeah, right.
I remember. yeah, right. Yeah, you're right. I remember that. How can I forget that voice? And what else did we do?
You did the 8:15 from Manchester. I remember that.
8:15 from Manchester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that footage exists, because it was almost like the studio was built just for you guys, but they obviously used it every week. But I love the comment from the presenter. She was like, if there's any justice in the world, this song would get to #1. And you couldn't have done a more shoddy job of miming. You weren't taking that performance seriously, I don't think.
Oh, no. See, my heroes all did that, all kind of like gassed on miming. Like, that's my favorite thing in the world to see. Like,
Roger's doing the Baby's Coming Back bridge where and it goes do 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 do.
Yeah.
That, you know, yeah.
Yeah. I love what is it? I can't even think of any examples right now, but yeah, when it's so clearly mine.
Nirvana were on Top of the Pops, and I'm sure they changed instruments, or it was something insane like that, or they decided to play a different song or something. Right.
We did a Top of the Pops with Air, which I've never seen, and I would kill to see it. And because I was really taking the piss out of the miming thing, I was like holding the neck of the bass with both hands and like just blowing kisses at the cameras, and just making scrunchy kissy faces at the camera every time it swung by me. I'm like, but I've never seen it.
I would pay money. I would pay good money to find it. And look,
I think I have a huge carnation on my jacket too. I was Mr. Valentine.
What year was this? 02, 03?
That would have been 01 or 2.
Okay. Well, that's the thing. Top of the Pops at the moment are showing everything in order from 1991, and they're doing like 2 episodes a week. So if you're prepared to wait about 5 years.
Yeah. So that's amazing. So that makes me assume, obviously, that these videos they've been able to keep them off the internet. These performances.
Well, I don't know. I mean, everything shows up on YouTube. So, I mean, there was side stage footage of Wembley. I'm sure I've seen this of you guys on stage at Wembley, but
I've never seen that.
I haven't seen. Well, the InXS DVD came out, the Wembley gig, and I don't know if you've seen the Michael Hutchins documentary, but because I'm guessing you guys were on first, and the PA guy was like, and tonight InXS, Debbie Harry, etc. And but before it gets to and from Pleasanton, California, Jellyfish, the thing cuts off and goes to the next scene. So I'm like, there is definitely multi-camera footage of that Wembley gig, and we must find a way to get it, I think.
Yes, because I'm sure I've heard the audio is kind of incredible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that audio, that sound of that, I will never forget that sound of that crowd. I mean, it like, because it's all those air horns too, which that's not a normal thing in concerts anymore. But when you just hear like that crazy Doppler effect of the air horn, and then and whatever 90,000 people, it's just nuts. I mean, I remember rolling around on the stage, like I fell over on purpose, but. Mm-hmm. And I was just kind of like rolling around on the stage, just going, this is so insane. That was so fun.
It's very of its time to have air horns at a gig. I don't think they would even allow that anymore. But because I thought, because the audio was put on the fan club box set that came out, and I honestly thought that they sped up the audio to fit it on the CD. But apparently you guys just played it at 78 speed.
Yeah, exactly.
would that have been down to Andy? I'm guessing.
That's down to Andy. Yeah, that's just called adrenaline, I think.
Because I mean, all I want is everything at that speed is just insane. How he was able to sing it as well. But we need to see. What were you wearing? It must have been something spectacular.
In that era, that's when I was in the kind of the roughly. I was kind of my faces thing, but also like a little bit of like, but also like with leather pants. So it would have been the brown leather pants, some sort of platform Johnny Thunders kind of shoe. And then see, my whole thing, I started going more into that visual than the Brady Bunch, which is where those guys were kind of stuck. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you know, I just couldn't do the Greg Brady thing. I couldn't do it anymore. So I just was like, very basically after the first video, I was like, you know what, I can't beat this. So I have to join it. Like, I'm not going, my resistance is going to lose. If I keep resisting, I'm just going to have to quit the band. And I didn't want to do that because I was really proud of the record we made. So
do you feel that your costume on the album cover was understated compared to the rest? Because I liked it. It has fringe on it.
No, it's not understated at all. That's. But I mean, that stuff that was just. See, those guys had amassed like this crazy collection of stuff from all the Goodwills and out of the closets and Salvation Armies. You know, the secondhand shops. Because if you think about it. You know, basically like it's sort of like how right now you can find a bunch of 90s stuff all over the world. Like it's kind of there's like a 90s underbelly. And so in the late 80s and early 90s, it was a late 60s, early 70s thing. And all these basically like all the people that were like wilding out in the 70s had finally gone through their closet because they're older now. And they're like, I'm never going to wear these ridiculous moon boots that I'm wearing on the cover of the Jellyfish record, which were my favorite thing I've ever seen when I saw those. I was like, I'll be wearing those.
They're wonderful. Did you know that the girl, the model ended up getting some kind of...
Hey man, I'm busy. Hey, I'm doing a phone, man. I'm on the phone. Take it easy.
Sorry, I won't keep you too much longer. I'll make an edit there as well.
No, you're good. It's just like a crazy homeless dude.
Okay. I went downtown. I went downtown in LA, and there were a lot of homeless people.
Oh yeah, it's a thing. But anyway,
walking right past your house. That's crazy. I think we should keep this in.
Oh, like trying to go, like basically like almost trying to come over my wall.
Oh, geez. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we keep this in?
Welcome to the east side of LA, man. It's no joke over here.
No, I'm making an executive decision. I think we'll keep that in. That's real life.
That's fine.
Reality TV.
That's fine. Exactly.
Yeah. Did you know that the girl from the Belly Button album cover, she got some kind of skin poisoning from all the toothpaste that was.
What?
Yeah, apparently.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you hear that?
Oh, I mean, it's on the internet, so it's probably not true. But
no, it's got to be true. Well, wait. So, how would she even? Who would draw that connection? Like this came from her saying. No,
that would be if I could find her or the girl from the Spilt Milk album cover. I mean, that's the next level of slightly, but it's one step below getting Andy for an interview, I think.
Well, I hung out with the girl from the first album cover.
Oh yeah.
And oh shoot! Oh, there we go.
You're back.
Yeah, she was really cool.
So I don't know if it was a poison, but it was certainly left marks apparently because that's a lot of toothpaste, a lot of fluoride, I guess.
Yeah, that's that is terrible. So the legend is that she has skin cancer.
No, God, no. I think it was a very temporary.
In the moment, in the day, she had a reaction.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. We don't want that.
Oh, good. No. I'm sorry. I thought you were. I misheard you. I thought you were saying there was. The legend of this poor girl. And I'm like, how do they make that connection?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Do you remember the promotional, I know this is getting really obscure now, but the promotional cassette that was done for the Wembley gig where you guys did some voiceovers to introduce songs from Belly Button?
I can't really remember that.
No. It feels like the only thing that, and I don't know how I got it, but I need to digitize it. It's just you guys just talking about the album, talking about the gig that's coming up, and then a snippet of Babies Coming Back, a snippet of whatever. And I don't know how those were made available, whether you had to buy them, if you got a free one when you got a ticket or whatever. But
that sounds like it would have been a promo thing. Mm-hmm. But what does the cover look like?
I'll send it. It's only cassette, and it's like sort of burgundy with the Belly Button Jellyfish logo and it says In Excess Wembley, and then there's a little bio for you guys on the back, and it's about 10 minutes long, and it's just you guys, as we say here, pissing around and not taking anything seriously.
Right. God, back in the day, you used to have to do so much of that stuff, just like all the endless, you're listening to KFUCK, it's just like constant, anytime we were near a microphone.
Yeah.
Somebody would be like, hey, can you do all these? And it'd be like to hand us a sheet of paper with like 20 radio station call letters. And by the fifth one, you're just like, just taking the piss,
We've seen the MTV footage. I don't know how this got out there, but it's just raw footage of you guys just sat around forever. And then you have to you're watching MTV and all that kind of stuff. I'm guessing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, with the bubbles and everything, which is getting in your hair, which is just Roger's eating a giant lollipop. It's
yeah. That's the one where Roger and I are interviewed together.
Yeah, and Andy and Chris are interviewed separately. Yeah.
I remember that.
There's blue screen footage of Babies Coming Back as well, or maybe that is why, something like that. But it's like I said, just blue screen. You're in the studio and you're either doing the falling thing or you're doing some of the cartoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, because that falling thing is from a trampoline. That's real.
There you go.
Except mine. Yeah, and you know why? Because I had just dislocated my shoulder in a terrible thing that happened here in town, and so I was totally game to get on that trampoline because I love trampolines. Mm-hmm. And I think the director and somebody involved, maybe somebody at the label, was like, "Wait, didn't you just dislocate your shoulder.
Mhm.
They're like, maybe you shouldn't get on that trampoline. So there's that footage of me where I'm like twirling the scarf or something is actually from the trampoline, but wait, what am I thinking of? No, it's in the Baby's Coming Back video where it looks like I'm falling backwards.
Yeah.
That
is kind of doing that.
It's what?
I think because you do that in that as well, don't you? You're kind of falling.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting them confused.
You just fall a lot on your videos, I guess.
I like to like fall backwards and with a giant hat on, and yeah.
So you dislocated your shoulder, but did you break? Was it your arm or your leg in England?
You mean after Jellyfish?
No, during Jellyfish, because I have the newspaper article and it ended up in one of the fan club things.
No, I dislocated my shoulder in LA because somebody dislocated my shoulder for me.
Oh, okay. Well, somehow go for it.
Well, no, that was just a terrible story, but it's kind of funny because it started because I at a stoplight I got a Ferrari pulled up next to us, and I got out of the passenger seat I was in the passenger seat of the car I was in, and I got out and I pretended to pee on the Ferrari, but I didn't do anything, and nothing was taken out of clothing. It was just my finger like this down here pretending to pee, and it was like my little statement of the class struggles that that we all endure, and then the guy who I guess was driving the car, and then all of a sudden there were two cars and they pulled us over, and the guy tried to kill me, dislocated my shoulder in the process of trying to get me out of the car. So that happened here. That was a very LA 90s kind of thing that was happening here. It was a very tumultuous time. And then, no, but nothing like that happened when I was in Jellyfish.
I should have had
on tour.
Oh, okay.
But it happened when I was on tour solo. I fell and broke that same, I disrupted the surgery. I fell in, this was in like 97. Right. And I fell and I did a bunch of shows in a sling. Like I played like the what's it called, the underground there.
Yeah.
That in a sling, but that was all. That's when all that happened.
Oh, so when you dislocated your shoulder, somehow this made, I believe, a British newspaper or at least a magazine. And
I remember I've seen that article.
Jellyfish pinup.
Yeah.
And it says like a drummer, Jason Falkner, and this Falkner wrong as well, which is just, that's everything.
Always. No, I remember that article. I love that. I would actually like to have some just some photos of some of those articles. That is one of the best ones. Jellyfish drummer. It's so good. I have
because it was whoever ran the fan club felt fit to monetize your misery and put it in one of the fan club newsletters, because I guess it is news. If one of the members fractures the shoulder.
It was gnarly.
Yeah,
I missed one show because of it.
Yeah, and that's when Nico was there, wasn't it?
I guess, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've got the original newspaper of that.
That's amazing.
I'm going to copy some stuff for you once I get all this Jellyfish stuff back. And
nice.
Yeah.
I look forward to
that. Where was I going with it? Yeah, anyway, because I go off in a million directions and I don't want to keep you far too longer. So you performed She Still Loves Him. Now, we have seen you perform Man I Used to Be.
Yes.
And you eventually, with Roger at Fuji Rock, got up to do That Is Why, which looked like one of the most fun things ever. Did you have a set? You must have had a set that for Fuji Rock as well.
Yeah, I played the same. I played later that afternoon on a different stage, same day.
Where's that footage? Like, did the multi-camera record that? Or?
Absolutely. That is. I don't know if that was ever like released. But I have seen it. I've seen it.
In fact, is it with a full band or is it just with you?
Yeah, full band. Yeah, it's pretty rocking. Actually, that was amazing because right before we went on, there was like it was like I was on kind of a weird stage. It was kind of like there was some like world stuff, which is really not where I fit in. But and I remember I was getting kind of like agitated. Like, why are we over here? When, because I don't look at all the different, all the different lineups for every different stage. Fuji Rock has like maybe like 8 stages, or at least. And I didn't really look at all that stuff until we got there. And then we're kind of walking around going to see some other things. And I went and met up with Raj to do that little bit. And then, and I'm like looking at all the other stages and I'm looking at the lineups and I'm like, man, this is the stage we should have played on. Mm-hmm. Why are we playing at this weird world stage, like way over there? And I remember getting kind of upset,
especially since I must say you potentially got reaction of the gig when you got introduced on stage. I think you definitely got a pop of the gig when Roger introduced you. Everyone was very pleasantly surprised to see you play.
For sure. Yeah. No, I have a very decent presence over in Japan, and so the band that was playing before us, I was just like, oh my God, it was raining. And I'm like, and then I swear, as soon as we walk out on stage and there's like 100 people. And then as soon as and then I was backstage kind of sulking and, I had said some words to my label guy who didn't understand what I was saying because we don't understand each other because we don't speak each other's language. And then we're like walking up to the stage and I'm just like, oh God, why? And then I look out and there's 5,000 people. They've all migrated to my show and there's a crack in the sky and it's sunny. Oh, and I'm like, holy shit. And we just went out there and destroyed. That was a great show.
That's good. Can you? I don't want to be that guy, but can you get the footage? Because Roger just released his Fuji Rock gigs finally on DVD. 06 he made available years ago, but he's just brought out 08 and some of the other Japanese concerts that he did. Yeah. What can you bring it up?
Yeah, I got to find that. I've also got to have you seen the O Nest? My Japanese. There's a really good. It's like a multi-camera filmed thing at a little club called O Nest in Tokyo. Have you ever? That was I believe that was like a companion DVD with some of the versions of I'm Okay, You're Okay.
I do not have that, and I'm very
that's pretty good too, man.
As a collector, I'm kind of like always on the lookout for that kind of thing.
I think I've got at least a copy of that that I can send over to you because I think I have more than one.
I swear I'm not doing this just to get free swag. Everyone's gonna hear.
Yeah, sure you're not. You're like, what else have you got?
Well, I do.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to send you that.
Oh, that's very kind of me.
So let me get my power cable. My phone is about to croak. 1 second.
Okay.
Look at this.
Ooh.
Look at this. This is a problem.
There's worse addictions to have, I guess.
I agree. And then here's this little room. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hello, love. Sorry, let me get there's my original artwork of the album cover.
Oh, that's cool. Oh. Can you just show us some like cool stuff of yours?
Some cool stuff? Sure. There's an original television Marky Moon poster. There's an original Phantom of the Paradise poster.
Oh, that's so funny. Eric Skodis introduced me to that film and it just changed my life.
That's the coolest thing in the world is one of those 70s cocaine things, but it's the Roxy Music record.
Oh.
An original Big Star poster, Season's Greetings from Ardent Records. That's from 70, whatever that record came out, 74. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got some of this. Let me see.
You do have a Baby's Coming Back animation cell as well, don't you?
I do. It's at my mom's, but I'm gonna get that actually because it's pretty cool. And let me see, where would those DVDs be?
This is fascinating footage for those watching.
Yeah. My dirty. Oh, this is. It's not that many, but it's probably the most intensely curated 7-inch collection around.
Very nice.
Postcard records, Orange Juice, Joseph K.
Alphabetical order? Or?
No. Nobody that knows me at all would think. No, you know what? My LPs were alphabetized. And people come over and hijack my thing during when I have parties, all of course pre 2020. And you know, when you wake up in the morning with a hangover and all of your records are on the floor, you just stuff them back in the boxes. So everything has been alphabetized probably a few times over the course of ownership, but not anymore.
Do you have any records that like just no one's allowed to touch?
Yeah. I mean, I have an original Big Star #1 record. You know, the first one, the first pressing. I have a few records that are worth quite a bit of money. I have a lot of obscure kind of like post-punk stuff, and new wave stuff, and also a lot of like weird. Jeez, man, these flies. A lot of good psych stuff. The band July is one of my favorites. Lothar and the Hand People, one of my favorites. I have originals of both of those records. Those are insane records. If you don't know them, Lothar and the Hand People.
No, I don't know. So I've got to say
the
that
records.
One thing that all you guys from Jellyfish have done for me is introduce me to so much music as well. You've expanded my musical vocabulary hugely, and I value that just as much as the music that you guys have made. I would like to think that you still have the giant the Offer Unknown album cover. You stood in a field holding the picture. Do you have that?
You know what? I wanted to get that picture so bad, and I didn't end up with that. And you know what that is? That's from one of those little photo booths. So that picture began its life this big on like this little strip. And the photographer who I met with like about 5 different photographers in New York when we were putting together that artwork. I met with this kooky dude named Lego, and he was like, he was really into kind of all of these techniques. This is before, you know, computers were the way they are now, obviously. So he was really into all these bizarre techniques of processing and photographs and aging photographs and all this stuff. We didn't really do any of that with mine, but he was like, no, I know this place that can blow up even like a little passport picture to basically any size. And I mean, the fidelity of that photograph being that it was from something this big is insane, because that's real. I'm carrying that thing. It's massive. And that was my idea to I liked the idea of being in the city, because we were mainly just going to shoot that stuff in the Poconos in Pennsylvania, that stuff in the field, like the cover, you know. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know is my hands holding that. I'm crouched behind the picture.
Oh, really?
You can see my little hands on each side of that. Yeah. I'm like crouched behind it, because we did a bunch of pictures of me standing there holding it or throwing it in the air or whatever.
Do those outtakes still exist of those photos?
I have all of that stuff.
See, this is the kind of stuff that.
So that's going to be this. That's the stuff for me, man. That's the stuff for my story. That's got nothing to do with Jellyfish.
No. Well, that's the thing. You know, hopefully it makes it out there in some form, especially if the albums get some kind of repackaging or.
Well, yeah. There's 2 labels right now that want to reissue both of my first solo records on like deluxe, like double LPs, and. I'll be doing all that stuff. I don't know when. I'm definitely the boy who cried wolf when it comes to when I'm going to release another record, because I've been saying that for a long time, and I really do appreciate everybody, the people out there that are patient about that. It's been so long. I'm almost gonna kind of have to start over. It's been 11 years since the last record.
Yeah.
But this new record is by far the most exciting thing I've ever done. So,
wow, that's cool.
No, I mean, I listened to I know my old records really well. I made them by myself. I've listened to them thousands of times, and I adore them. But this is like a totally different thing.
Mm-hmm.
This is like completely unhinged, like like unrestricted. Because it's weird because I've talked about this quite a bit, just with friends and stuff over the years. But my first solo record, I almost made it intentionally kind of obscure. Like I wasn't trying to grab the brass ring. I wasn't trying to like dominate like modern rock music. I was trying to do something a little bit more coming in from the side, and it was all intentional. And I did things to sort of even obscure the commercial appeal of some of the songs, as far as how I recorded them and how I performed them, and even how I sang them. I wasn't like going for it in the way that people talk about, you know, when you like are going for world domination. I was kind of going for subtle domination of one little pocket over here somewhere. and people in 2021 can't understand what the hell I'm talking about. Like, why would you intentionally do that? And it's like, you know, I mean, I'm the guy that refused a video. The Electro wanted to make a video for I Live. And I said, no video. And they were going to spend $100,000 on it or whatever, 50, 75, whatever, however much they cost back then.
Yeah.
And I said, and I was like, no, I don't want to make a video. I wanted it to be underground. And boy, did I get my wish.
How did you feel about the making the ad for Can You Still Feel then?
Well, I love everything about that ad except two things: the guy's voice, the narrator, and the girl. Bless her heart.
Yeah, it's such a.
It sounds really kind of corny, and it's not supposed to be corny at all.
Yeah.
And I didn't ever want the girl. The girl was supposed to be my friend Heather, and then she couldn't do it at the last minute. It was supposed to be an actual friend of mine instead of just some model. So that part of it is kind of cheesy, but I love like like my vibe in that thing, and I love like the how we made a one-man band out of me. You know, I love that. But yeah, I don't like the Can You Still Feel, Jason? It almost sounds kind of like some weird New Zealand like nerdy guy, like you know, like a My Pillow kind of voice, you know. And I'm like, but all that stuff was, when it's done, and you know, you can't be like, hey, let's change the voice, you know.
Did you have a fascination with planes then?
With what?
With aeroplanes and airports. Oh yeah. Okay, right, because it's kind of, you know, I can't imagine that album having any other cover. And I love the shot of the inside with the stewardess pouring you the drink, and you've got the leather pants. You know, I've got my
68 comeback special vibe.
So yeah, that was just I want to do this because.
Well, yeah. So the idea of that, the concept of that was. This sort of, you know, can you still feel is the question that I was asking myself. And I felt like it's a kind of a universal question that we should ask ourselves, because I was feeling the beginnings of sort of a jadedness coming into my life. And, you know, it's like, are you stopping and smelling the roses? Are you appreciating what you have? Can you still feel any of this stuff that's happening? Mm-hmm. And the perfect imagery for that, for me, is that of a spoiled rock star, you know, being served by yet another beautiful person, and not even feeling it. And that's what that was supposed to be. It was also supposed to be like hearkening back to a time when you could act like that. And you know, I put that record out in the middle of a time where you couldn't act like that anymore. You know, like the private plane and the excess and the debauchery is something that I think is really sort of part of the reason that a lot of the stuff in the late 60s up until the late 70s is so exciting and sounds so good, because it was the music and the art being made was a byproduct of a lifestyle that then became outlawed, basically.
Yeah.
You know, you can't act like that anymore. I mean, if you act like that, people are going to be, there's a whole gang of whistleblowers and haters on the internet that are just ready to rip you apart if you act like a rock star.
There is that, and there's also the danger of coming across like a caricature of a rock star, I guess.
Right. Right.
Because
Exactly.
you do see that quite a lot as well. So I mean, and before we get on to what you have coming up and everything, and talking about your performance of "She Still Loves Him," the opening track on "Can You Still Feel?" How come you? I mean, because I can't imagine it having any other opening than that. But it comes from a fully arranged orchestral song called "Take a Chance on Me." So why? It sounds like such a shit question, but like, sort of, why did you decide to just take that little snippet and put that at the start instead of a full thing?
Just folly. I was just having fun. I just thought, like, I'd like to do this kind of like, first of all, the version that was recorded on the prior record, the orchestra did not get it right. I had them doing things where, because we did this other tune of mine that I wrote that's not even a song. It's like a classical piece of music that I wrote when I was a teenager, and it's kind of like Gershwin-y, but it's really, really, really brisk and kind of aggressive. But it was all orchestral, and these were people from the LA Philharmonic, and they were like, hitting their instrument with their bow, like, excuse me, we would need like days of rehearsal to perform this piece of music. Like, we can't sight read this piece of music. And I was like, well, that's flattering, but well, we've got like 2 more hours. Can we just try? Can we try? And so basically both of those things were a wash. That was all from the same string session that where the strings that are on She Goes to Bed and Untitled, and then I think those are the only strings on that record. But yeah, those other two things. But anyway, yeah. So as far as the Take a Chance with Me, I just was in New Orleans making the second record. Nigel had just showed up, and I just I was at the piano playing that, and then I was like, oh, this is cool. This is how I'll start the record, with just this like little condensed version, So it's the way I work is extremely intuitive and instinctive and like flight of fancy. I don't sit around and make charts and labor over concepts and all that stuff. Concepts evolve as I'm just following my intuition. So that record, oddly enough, when I started that second record, it was supposed to be a party record. if you can believe that, I had in mind, I wanted to make a kind of a feel good stomper record, even though I didn't have really any songs that did that. I mean, I had My Lucky Day, and I had some stuff that could have been, if the whole record was full of that stuff, it would have been more like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it turned out to be probably the darkest record I've made. But it still cracks me up, because I remember going into it going like, man, I'm in New Orleans, man, I'm going to make a party record. And it's like at the end of the record, I'm like, this is not a party record. No, this is a very deep, very introspective, sort of a existential nightmare record in some ways. Yeah. Basically the antithesis of a party.
It's bursting with ideas, though.
Yes. I'm always that.
If you look at something just like Holiday, I mean, it's just the sort of post-chorus piece. I think it only shows up one time in the entire song, and that could also be its own entire song because it's so catchy. But it just goes off in so many different directions that just I read a review of it, and it's just that the melodies come at you so quickly, they just fly over your head, and then it's on to the next thing, and it's just that song in particular is a wonderful song.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, the whole album is. I mean, I'll not kiss your ass too much though. Yeah, because I do that probably far too much. So she still loves him. Now you have, like, say, you performed Man I Used to Be. You did that quite a lot on your solo gigs, and you performed that as Y. And so, besides the fact that the songs were already taken, what made you choose that?
This was my first choice. No, I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Did you ask why I chose that one?
Well, yeah. Was it? So, I mean, I'm guessing. Can you just pick up the guitar and play the Jellyfish stuff still? I mean, that stuff. Yeah.
It's not like Steely Dan or anything. I mean, I love that song. That was a very cool song to record, at least the basic tracks for. But what a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you listen to Belly Button, one of the cool things about Belly Button, as far as a recording concept thing that we all discussed and agreed to do, which was the most guitar performances on that record are one track. And so when I'm soloing, there's no rhythm guitar because I hit a AB box with an AC30 over in a different room that's been vibrating because it's ready to go because it's on 10. And when I click over from my rhythm sound to that's the solo. So, when you listen to She Still Loves Him, my rhythm guitar is gone during the solo because it's the same performance.
Yeah.
And I don't do a lot of recording like that anymore because I like layers. I like tons of layers of guitar. If anything, I like sometimes too many layers of guitars. But I still kind of respect that way that we did that. That was a very violent solo. I mean, yeah.
Well, we talked about it before as well, and I know you said that you have a story that we may not have heard before, but the sort of general story, and please correct it if it's not true, is that Andy just wasn't happy with whatever solo you were doing, and then it got to the point where you performed that solo whilst, I mean, it sounds so Hollywood, you're staring at Andy as you're really going for it, and then as soon as the song finishes, you just throw the guitar down and just leave the studio. I can't imagine you damaging a guitar, though. That's the thing. So.
Yeah, that's the part where it's bogus. Mainly because at that time, Pablo, I owned one guitar.
Okay.
Which was the guitar my parents got me when my first guitar, which is a 1973 Fender Mustang. I still have it.
You use that on all the Belly Button that you're on?
No, but here's what happened with the guitar, and then I'll get to the story of that track. Mm-hmm. So we rented a ton of guitars and basses and amps and drums and keyboard. We rented a lot of stuff for that first record. And I remember when if I'm about to do a guitar part or we're about to track something, me and the producer Albie and the co-producer Jack would grab a couple guitars and kind of walk around the room and plug into different amps, and kind of the three of us would decide what combination to use. Mm-hmm. And what was cool about Jack, I mean, I love Jack very much. Worked with him quite a bit post Jellyfish, but he noticed when I played my guitar, because we had all these fancy things rented, but all vintage, of course, but like Gretches, we had Tellys and Strats and Les Pauls, and then I had my little Fender Mustang, the little engine that could, and Jack noticed when I played my Mustang, because it's missing the vibrato arm. I used to have a technique where I would play a chord and then I would put my palm up against the back of the tremolo bar that the strings go through, mm-hmm. which was missing the arm. So I can't do it like that. So I palm it and push it forward. So that's how I got my vibrato. So I'd be like, ding, and Jack had the intelligence basically to notice that was very unique. And sort of like the necessity being the mother of invention. I don't have the tremolo arm anymore. So I've created my own way of doing vibrato. And it would only work on that guitar because no other guitar that we had that same vibrato system, which is a bar that the strings go through and then come up on the bridge. So, so he started insisting. He was like, "No, that Mustang, that's you. All these other things, yeah, they're great, but what's cool about you is you, and the things that you play are cool. You shouldn't be trying to play like anybody else or have a guitar tone like it. Your guitar tone out of that little student model guitar, whatever, is the shit." So I love that he recognized that and then kind of, gently insisted on that. So, so that's the main guitar that I played throughout the record. As far as the basses, that's another story. And that was playing bass on the record was super fun because that's the first time I actually ever played the bass. I didn't own a bass. So on all my recordings, all my cassette 4-track recordings, and before that, all my cassette deck recordings where I would bounce between cassette decks when I was a teenager, because I didn't have a bass, I would just detune my guitar like way down to, like an A and a low A. And, but if you hit the string hard when an electric guitar string is detuned that much, it's like, so you have to barely hit it so it doesn't pitch up. That's where I developed my palm muting style of the bass, was on the guitar playing it as a bass. So basically, hey, when we you didn't get that one?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I'm just.
That was just. So anyway, yeah, playing the bass.
They call that dad humor.
I know. I'm fine. What I say to that is I'm a dad without kids. Yeah. So then first time really playing a bass was on the Jellyfish demos, and I just like instantly had a vibe and a love for playing bass. Back to She Still Loves Him. So no, the real story is that my old friend Danny Bonaire, who was the drummer of the 3 O'Clock and even cooler, the Quick, one of my favorite 70s bands, he was working with a guy that was managing this new guy named Lenny Kravitz. And, I remember when we first I'd heard about this Lenny Kravitz guy just because there wasn't a lot of 60s influence stuff happening at that moment. And when I remember we were in the studio making Belly Button when the video for Let Love Rule came on MTV. And I don't know about everybody else. I know that everybody liked it. And I'm talking mainly the sound of that record. And the kind of minimal toughness of it. And I was mouth wide open, like, holy shit. And I know the other guys were like probably threatened by it. They're like, oh no, like this is pretty cool. And, say what you want about Lenny. I mean, I don't think I'm not really a fan of Lenny. But I love the sound of the first couple of records. When he was a total tape purist and all that stuff. And it sounds really good. So point is, my old drummer friend, Danny, called me. He didn't even know what I was doing. He didn't know I was in a band, and nobody knew what Jellyfish was because we hadn't made a record yet. And so it's just another band in the studio making their first record. And he calls me and he says, hey, the keyboard player he goes, have you heard Lenny Kravitz? And I said, actually, yeah, I've heard that one song. And it's pretty rocking. And he said, you should be the keyboard player, the piano player, not piano, and piano and Hammond. And I was like, oh man, well, and see, Lenny already had an album out. He already had a video. And I was like, that dude's cool. And this band is cool. It's like New York. Like, it just seemed like kind of tough and like urban and I liked it. So in the middle of making Belly Button, I would stay over. I would stay late in the studio because I had a cassette Walkman, and I would sit and learn. And I learned about 3 or 4 songs to audition for Lenny Kravitz. Wow. And a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know this. And I learned, like, there's a song, I forget the song, but it has a pretty elaborate piano solo performed by the engineer of the Lenny Kravitz records, Henry Hirsch, who also played most of that bass. And it's very, very funky, cool, tough sounding 70s funk bass. And soul, you know, and I love that stuff. And I can play that like, you know, in my sleep. And then but the piano stuff is what I was learning. And forget the name of the song, but it doesn't really matter. But it has this really kind of cool, you know, technical piano solo. So I learned that, and then I went and I auditioned, and in the middle of making the record.
Shit. Okay.
And here's what happened. Lenny wasn't there. It was the band auditioning me. And then the band said, "Oh, hell yes. So what we should do is you should meet Lenny, like, you know, next week, and then we'll have a jam session. But it's all a yes for us." So the band said, and I said, and I was feeling so guilty because I felt like I was cheating on my girlfriend, even though my girlfriend was abusive. Mm-hmm. And I went back to the studio, and because I was so emotionally invested in these songs of Jellyfish, and, you know, I'd helped work on them. I had written some things that I didn't get credit for, but I was, aside from all that, I was emotionally invested. And I've always been a very sentimental person, and overly sensitive, and in fact, overly empathetic. And I bailed on Lenny. I was just like, no, I never even met him. Just bailed on the idea. But I basically got the gig without meeting him. But the guys were all so sure that he and I were gonna totally hit it off that it was like a done deal. And I never regretted not doing it because like I said, I'm not like a huge fan of that, but I did really like that first record. You know, so what happened? So this is probably in the same week, because you see, I might have had a little bit of something that was palpable by the other guys, even though I was doing this in secret, where I don't know what was going on, but you know, I was definitely like, I don't need this kind of energy that I was getting off of Andy. And in fact, I really don't need it because I just got asked to be in this other thing that's really happening. And but I'm going to turn it down. I'm going to stick this out because Mama didn't raise no quitter. And so when we recorded She Still Loves Him, what was happening was Andy was scowling at me. And we recorded it as a trio, and had nothing to do with him not liking my solos. That was never mentioned. Nothing at all like that. He never had a thing to say about my solos or my playing. Anything, never anything negative.
Well, the story always was as well, when they were looking for another guitarist, he was never happy because they didn't sound like Jason Falkner, and it was like, well, yes, you know.
Exactly. Well, yeah, you could have told me that a little bit when I was in the band. I might maybe I'd still be in the band. But well, that's a whole another 5-hour conversation about the deception that was laid on me when I first joined that band. But anyway, yeah. So no, he was scowling at me, and I played that solo just like looking back at him. So yes, we were staring at each other, and I was like, my solo is basically like, it's like a knife fight with a guitar. Yeah. And after that, I put my guitar down, walked through the doors. I did bail. Like I stormed out essentially, and Roger followed me through the doors into the lobby, into the lounge. And he was like, man, he was basically like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, you should just quit. You should just quit. Like, you should get out of here. You can do better than this and all this stuff. And I was like, and it's like as soon as somebody says that to you, when you're already feeling this, it like validates what you're feeling. You know what I mean? And you're just like, you're right. I should leave. And, but I didn't. And that was all right around the same time as that Lenny kind of decision. And so I remember thinking like I could be in this other thing now, which I'm sure is probably just a bunch of dudes smoking pot and flying on private jets and having a good time, as opposed to getting the stink eye from the guy that I've devoted my young life to helping his vision. It's like, what's the point? So it was a rough session, but and I mean, all sorts of things were said during that, like mainly by Albie. Albie Galuden at one point turned around to me and said, well, you may be miserable, but you'll be rich. That's exactly what he said to me. And I thought, okay, not worth it. Uh-huh. Like, I'd rather be poor and happy. Like, absolutely not worth it. Oh, well, you might be the George Harrison of the band, but at least you're the George Harrison of the band. And it's like all these things. I'm just like, man, you're not helping.
I do agree, but like, $1 million wouldn't be bad.
What's that?
I do agree that, I'd rather be poor and happy, but also feel free to give me $1 million. I wouldn't.
Well, exactly. But I was never going to make even $10,000 from those guys.
I mean, your candidness is always very much appreciated. And
I hope it's not too far. I hope I'm not like melting the concepts.
Internet. Well, no. That's the thing. I think people know your general, thoughts on your experiences with the band, and I don't think that makes anyone love the work that you did with Jellyfish any less. And this would seem like a good place to end it, but I'm gonna, as I usually do, just ask a couple of more questions just to ruin the entire feel of the whole thing.
For sure.
Is it true that you, I always heard that you auditioned for New Kids on the Block, but you didn't get in because you were too talented and could play too many instruments? Is that true?
Are you serious?
That's what I heard. I mean, is that...
No, that's in the. Do you have that little thing from the Club DNA? It's like a little handmade book that we made.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So that's. I think that story is in there. And it's it's like all of the stories about us are complete jive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. See, people had also told me that as if it was, funnily enough, because I got one ages ago. I was lucky enough to find one. And then Roger, who has an archive of stuff as well, just had a few and put them on his website and they sold out instantly. But yeah, no, so you didn't audition for New Kids on the Block.
I would never have auditioned for New Kids on the Block. No. My favorite bands at that time when I was pre-Jellyfish would have been, the Ruts and the Killing Joke and not boy band stuff. No.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna. I must, because I'm stealing a concept here. One of my favorite podcasts uses this book, Emergency Questions. And this is usually these are usually asked when there's a lull in the conversation. But I feel like we could go on forever. But Jellyfest is already literally about 5 to 6 hours long at this point. So okay. There's like 20 performances and interviews, not quite this length. I think you get a pass because you are a band member, So we could go on for a long time. But okay. Did any future celebrities go to your school?
Who went to my school?
I'm guessing a few. Just
Heather Graham went to my school.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I know her. But who else? I can't remember who. I can't think of anybody else who went to my school. No.
Can I ask the question? Was misunderstanding about Heather?
Oh no. No. Follow Me is.
Okay.
Misunderstanding is not about anybody. It's a story, and it's a confusing story on purpose.
Oh, okay. See,
a lot of my songs have multiple protagonists. So
it's another one I've got that Follow Me CD Australian single where you're holding the curtains open. That's a cool
Opera House.
Yeah,
I like that better.
Yeah, I was hoping that was like a 12-inch single or something, because that would be a really cool thing to.
I know.
Yeah,
just for the artwork of that size,
it's very good.
Yeah.
Okay. If you could murder one person and have an 87% chance of getting away with it, who would you kill?
Oh man, that is a terrible question. Nobody that any of us know.
Okay.
And in fact, I don't think I'd like to murder anybody. I'm a pacifist.
Okay.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Sorry. Oh no, maybe. No, I shouldn't say it. Sorry. No. I think you know what I just thought of, though.
I've got an idea. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay. Is sex with a ghost cheating?
I don't think so. No, it's not. Okay. Because half the population doesn't believe it happened anyway.
Very true. Have you ever seen the ghost?
I have not seen a figure or somebody with a bed sheet kind of vibe, but I have definitely felt some very bizarre things in certain places that I've been, particularly in New Orleans, which is an incredibly haunted city. And in fact, at Kingsway, where I recorded "Can You Still Feel," that studio / mansion that you live in was severely haunted.
Wow. Okay.
But I never saw like a soldier sitting on the edge of my bed.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song from Spilt Milk?
I don't know that record.
Maybe Bye Bye Bye, I guess, because that's the one that you.
Bye 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 I love.
Yeah.
Bye 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 is the song that Bye 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 is one of the reasons why I teamed up with those guys, because I heard that demo and I was floored by that song.
I love how it went into She Still Loves Him live.
Yeah, me too.
Was it just one of those eureka moments because it ends on the same chord, etc.? And it's similar subject matters as well, because it's about relationship or marriages gone completely wrong.
True.
So was it kind of that kind of thinking? I mean, there's a lot of that. There's Will You Marry Me? Yeah. And there's some great guitar work from you on those live performances of that.
Yeah, thanks.
What was the fixation on marriage? I mean,
you have to ask Andy about that one. Those are all his lyrics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A couple more.
Of course.
Some of these are just so stupid. Now this is just dead air now, so I'm gonna have to find something. Okay.
No, I'm good.
Is there anything purple within 10 feet of you? Nothing rude.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Look at that chair.
There you go. See?
It's purple. It's very purple, actually.
Very purple.
Yes.
As you can tell, I mean, I've kind of went with the orange and purple.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I like that color combination.
Yeah.
Yes. This is kind of I call it the Freak Out Chateau. Freak Out with PH.
Nice.
Yeah.
Far Side kind of. Oh, I like the little. What's the little guy behind your right shoulder?
What in there?
Huh? No, sorry, your left.
Oh, him.
What's that? What's that?
It's one of the Mario. It's the mushroom from Mario.
Oh, that's good. I like that one.
Yeah. See, and I've got the Jason Falkner merchandise booth. So I've got the.
Oh, nice.
I've got.
I didn't even see those. I just saw the shirt.
Nice. I live single.
Yes.
Now I got this from because you signed copies of these on the what was that website that reviewed different songs, different albums, and I'm sure it had like a aeroplane name as well, or like an airport or something. I can't remember. You signed some copies for it.
Okay, I remember. Yeah. Oh, are those the ones that are signed with a like the wrong color pen?
With like a biro pen.
Okay, a biro.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh yeah, cool. No, I remember somebody had me sign a bunch of stuff, and I don't know what I was thinking. I signed it with like a yellow pen, so you can't even see it.
Oh,
I didn't even like at the time. I just thought it looked cool, but it's the kind of thing that's like that faded into like you couldn't see it.
I'm wondering if I can. I'm going to try and grab some stuff while I've got you on the line. Oh, what we got? What we got? See, if you just, it's kind of like, do you know how there's kind of certain cities where there's like a rat every 8 feet or something? If you just sit anywhere in my house and just reach out, you'll grab something jellyfish.
Oh, that's cool.
Related. So, Japanese, can you still feel?
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Got necessity here.
Nice.
Check out Jason online at jasonfalkner.com. Can you still do that?
Never happened. Okay. jasonfalkner.com never happened.
There was a website though, I remember.
Yeah, but that was like awful. I've actually got to get that. I've got to get that taken down. It's so it's not. That was never a good website. That was run by a fan.
This is not the Omnivore TV Eyes, but I do have the Omnivore vinyl.
Oh, nice. Oh, is that the Japanese one?
Yeah. I've got. I always go with the Japanese versions if I can on certain things. I have soft copies somewhere. I remember on your website with All Quiet on the Noise Floor, you were like, "Look, don't buy the Japanese version. There will be an American version eventually."
Right.
And I don't think that ever happened. You filthy liar.
No, it did with Omnivore put it out.
Did they?
You're talking about TVIs?
No, All Quiet.
Oh, you are correct. And it never came out.
So this is like I'm writing letters of complaint. There you go.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I don't. Was there a vinyl of this? There's probably a long box of this.
I have a long box of that.
Nice.
I have a record of that. I have an LP of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think it's a terrible record though.
Yeah. No.
I was the new kid. They weren't listening to me. I was like, guys, you're like one of my favorite bands. What's going on? We got to fire this producer.
No one.
Whatever, new guy.
There you go. Japanese version.
Oh,
of that.
Nice.
Nice. What was the bonus track for this? Song from Under the Floorboards. Brilliant.
Yeah.
That introduced me to
magazine.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I saw them on top. There you go. I'm just showing off.
Oh, that's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that artwork too.
Made in Australia. So this was just before a gig, I'm guessing, that shot.
No. That's from the same. That's from the same photo shoot for the album cover with that guy Lego I was talking about. We just went to all these different. We had a bunch of different locations.
Uh-huh.
And so that was all from that. And in fact, the cover of that is from New York. But I just said, hey, use this picture of me opening that curtain and put the Sydney Opera House behind it. So that was my idea.
It's very cool. And I think that, try not remortgaging your house to get a copy of this now.
There's one on Amazon for $900. Have you seen that?
I try not to look on Amazon because
there's one of that for $900. I was like, okay, this person is out of their mind, but
it's the same with Everyone Says It's On as well. Like, can't get a copy of that for love nor money.
That one is very expensive too.
Yeah. So how do you feel about that? Like, would you rather everyone be able to have it somehow?
Well, the first reaction is that of being flattered. Mm-hmm. I like obscurities, and I like rarities, and I like valuable things, and I think things that are of quality, that are more hard to find, are obviously going to be worth more money. Mm-hmm. So in that regard, I have no problem with it. And all that stuff is on YouTube anyway. So
it is. I mean, how much of that's on streaming platforms currently?
Neither of those are on stream. Oh no, so All Quiet I just put up this year.
Yes, you did, and a lot of people were very happy that that was put up. Yeah.
Cool. But the other one is not, I don't think, I just need to do it. And I'm also going to be putting up I'm Okay, You're Okay on streaming, because that's not on streaming either.
Nice. Yeah. That's exciting. So what, as I'm just digging through a box of stuff that I'm going to show you a couple of things of, what else do you have coming up within the next year? What can we look forward to from Jason Falkner?
No joke this time. Definitely a new record.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
No, you should laugh, because I was laughing. Because it's funny, because I am the boy who cried wolf as far as my record, but no, for sure it's almost done. So I'm just trying to figure out how to put it out, and I don't think I'm even considering label stuff. I'm just gonna self-release, but see what kind of people can help me that have offered to reach out to help me with anything over the decades, basically. And I'm just going to start calling on those people to be like, all right, now remember what you said? Mm-hmm. Remember how many times you asked me if I needed any help? I need help now.
Yes.
So
definitely call in those favors, and
call in the favors. Yeah.
Yeah. And demand a lenticular album cover as well.
What is it?
A lenticular album cover, like a sort of, you flick it back and forth and it makes a different picture.
Oh yes, like a Satanic Majesties.
Yeah. Do get some of that, and
yeah, I'm gonna spend all my money on the packaging.
Well, speaking of merch, I mean, we've got some. Everyone says,
"Oh man, those are cool. Those are rare."
Mm-hmm. Someone very nicely gave me those, and just got these from Roger's.
Nice
site, yeah, and
nice,
and TVI's flyer as well.
Wait, Roger is selling those?
We'll talk about that later on.
Sneaky bastard.
We'll talk about that later on.
He's still at it.
Yeah, so nice TVI's flyer as well, which somehow Roger managed to get his album cover on the back.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And that's cool. And before we go, I've got to show you some of these. Now, these were from a Queen gig, and they shot confetti at the end, but it was gold foil confetti, and it ruined all of Brian May's amps because it just melted on the amps. So they had to...
Oh, man.
Yeah, they had to change that the next year to sort of like a sort of crepe paper, I guess. But yeah, we all grabbed just endless handfuls of this worthless shit. And
that's amazing. Wait, is that from the Queen gig from when? Just a few years ago?
Adam Lambert, yeah.
Oh yeah, actually, we saw that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I went to that with Beck.
Did you? Oh, of course you did. I'm just going to pick up these names that you've been dropping on the floor here. Like I do it all the time when talking about. Oh. Well, Jason, I want to thank you for giving me so much of your time and generosity with this project, because knowing, the tumultuous story with yourself in the band, I was like, you'll never be part of this. You'll never want to do this. But you've been so cool about it. And because the thing is, as well, as you say, there's always been an appreciation of the music. And this whole thing, like Jellyfish, the page isn't just celebrating the band Jellyfish, it's celebrating all of your guys' music, which is why the page has lasted 10 years and is, reaching around 4,500 members now, which is amazing. I mean, we average about 20 new members per day.
That's amazing.
And people
That's awesome.
And it's one of those things, not everyone can like everything. Some people are just into your music. Some people bring up one of Tim, bring up the producers, right. Or so it's really cool. So Eric did tell me a story that he did meet you once, and he was very drunk.
Well, I don't. we had dinner once, but it was through a mutual friend of ours, and I don't know if he remembers that. But I'm pretty sure that at that dinner we both would have gotten very drunk.
Well, he thought I was trying to trap him that I already knew a story, and I was just like, no, I'm just really intrigued to know whether because that would be like a crossover episode, wouldn't it? And I just imagine this. Sure would. Whole thing of you just whipping out two guitars and using them as lightsabers and just having a battle to the death,
I know. I think Eric's really cool. I never had any. It's like if I would have been fired from the band, it would be a different thing. You know what I mean? But if you leave something, it's like you can't ever. Why would I begrudge somebody who comes in after?
Yeah, absolutely. And did you ever met Tim? Oh,
of course, yeah. I've met Tim quite a few times, spoken with Tim a bit, and in fact, decades ago, he and my friend Jeremy Stacey, who was my drummer for a little while, when I toured England, in the late '90s, Jeremy's always like, Tim wants to be in the band and all this stuff. So that was way back then that Tim was wanting to play with me, and I love Tim. I mean, Tim's an awesome musician.
And Jeremy's all over the Licorice Quartet stuff as well. So there's a lot of connection going on there. So did you and Tim ever sort of, when you're touring the UK, you with Beck or whoever, and Tim with High Flying Birds or Sheryl Crow, did you ever meet just randomly that way as well? Like bump into each other? No, I've never seen him out on the road, I don't think. I've just seen him here in LA a couple times. It was probably if I remember correctly, it would have been with Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Because I pretty much see Jeremy every time he's in town. So I think maybe the last time I would have seen Tim, unless I'm forgetting something, would have been when he and Jeremy were playing with Sheryl, which is ages ago. That was a good while ago, yeah. Look, I'm going to let you go. I was meant to be coming to LA in October, and I would have almost demanded that we go for sushi. For sure. Whenever you do get out here, we'll do that. I'll take you out. So that's the thing. I've done this with everyone in the band now, so I'm going to get eat so much sushi when I'm out there. So exactly. Yeah, as I said to Eric, I couldn't believe that we went for sushi one time in Hollywood, and it came to like $200. And I did not have $200. And luckily, people who, this is my understanding, that people who, if you're going to go for sushi in Hollywood, you've got some expendable income. And they were like, yeah, we'll get that. And I was just like, thank God, because I would have been washing the dishes for the next, yeah. You would have been picking rice out from under your nails for a month. Or on stage, like, the Japanese equivalent of a mariachi band, just, performing for my food. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, sushi is definitely expensive here. Good sushi, but it's all over the place. So this is a great town for that. Excellent. Well, thank you again for my pleasure. Thank you, man. Asking you lots of stupid questions, and stay tuned, everyone, to Jellyfest for what is coming up next. Bye.